Attention, all passengers. Special announcement. New destinations have been announced. Please be advised and plan accordingly. All aboard.
Hi, I'm Tim Sneath, Director of Product Management for Flutter and Dart at Google. Welcome to Flutter Festival. We're so glad you're here. Flutter's an amazing cross-platform UI toolkit, and today is about celebrating that. Your festival organisers have created a special space for you to learn, hack, and explore Flutter even more deeply than usual. Every single Flutter Festival has planned a great lineup of speakers, hackathons, and workshops. So I hope you come away from this event having learned something new and feeling inspired. Today is also about celebrating all of you in the Flutter community. We often hear that the Flutter community feels different than other tech communities, that it's friendlier and more welcoming. The camaraderie is uniquely strong. In fact, according to our most recent developer survey, the vast majority of Flutter developers feel safe to ask questions without judgment. We also see that after achieving a certain level of skill, Flutter developers are often motivated to turn right around and start giving back by sharing their knowledge and expertise with a new body of enthusiastic and interested learners. And it fills our hearts to see this happen over and over again. Internally at Google, we're sometimes asked by other teams how they can foster such a vibrant and warm community for their technology. Truth is, we can't understand or explain the alchemy of the Flutter community, but we do know that the secret ingredient is all of you. The thriving Flutter community is truly special because it's composed of passionate, kind, and talented individuals from all over the world. In addition to the Flutter open source contributors, as well as package and plugin authors, the community is filled with meetup organisers and members, GDEs, speakers, Flutteristas, bloggers, YouTubers, community moderators, Stack Overflow question answers, students, and many others. And the work that all of you do is so important. Companies and hobbyists alike are adopting Flutter more and more, not only because we hope it's a great technology, but also because of the wealth of high-quality resources and community support now available. In short, Flutter would not be where it is today without your passion and hard work. We are so genuinely grateful to you. Thank you. So, as you enjoy this Flutter Festival, between talks and workshops, remember to give yourself a pat on the back. As the crown jewel of the Flutter ecosystem, we could not be more proud of you and all of the amazing work you do.
Yeah, I think Chuka might have dropped off from the meeting, but I think he's gonna rejoin. Okay, just share a slideshow of what we're gonna be doing today. Let's wait for Brian to finish up setting up his audio so that we can hear him much better. Okay, guys, let me share what today we're gonna be doing. So for today, the event is it's about Flutter, and so Flutter. I've just given you a brief description of what Flutter is, and so the event is about building applications with Google technologies. So Google technologies basically include like Flutter, Firebase, Google Cloud services, and so for the Flutter Festival is usually a community-led series where developers can join and learn the fundamentals of Google technologies, including Flutter, Firebase, and Google Cloud content. So you can learn how to build applications using the Google services, as I've told you, using Firebase, using Flutter, and deploying them on the Google Cloud platform. Making them available to your end users. So the speakers of our day today, we have two guest speakers. So the first guest speaker for today is Hila Fish. She's a DevOps engineer at Wix. She usually does more of deploying DevOps stuff. This is basically ensuring that the infrastructure is up and running, and issues escalated by the customers are able to reach the developers, and they're able to be fixed efficiently. And the next guest speaker of the day is Chegebran. He's also an alumni of Chuka. He was the previous tech lead. Today is the one who's going to be taking us through the Flutter session, and also Hila Fish is going to be giving us her own presentation of what she does, and we are going to learn more about what she's going to tell us. And finally, a quote from Larry David, which says, anytime I'm involved with anything that's well received, it's a surprise to me, meaning that anytime you build any technology and users are able to appreciate and provide good feedback, and you're able to have some self-fulfillment, that something that you have built is able to give an impact to the larger community, and it brings joy to us as developers when we get useful feedback from users that the event or anything that you have built is a success. So that's the basic introduction of what we're going to be doing today. And let me stop sharing right now, and can hand over to Chege as we wait for Hilafish to join. Yeah, I think you can. I'm not sure. I don't know what happened to his internet connection, but you can wait for him to join again as we wait for Hilafish to join. Yeah, he's back.
Sorry for that. I was kicked out of the meeting. So I was just saying, just put your stack and do that meeting.
I think there's still some. The audio is still muffled. Yeah, your audio still has some issue. Check. Okay, as check if fixes his audio. If you have any questions or need maybe some clarification about Flutter, you can pose the question in the chat section, and I can try to get back to the question as Brian fixes his audio. And for today, our lead, DSC lead, wasn't able to join us. He had to travel, and he's going to be joining us on the consecutive meetings next time. Oh yeah, thank you, John, for the recommendation. Yep. And I can see a new person on the attendance list, Twisha Singh. Can I add you as a host and say hi to the guys on the meeting? Can accept maybe on the chat section, and I can add you as a host and maybe say hi.
Mic check.
Yeah, awesome. It's okay.
All right. That was a hassle. Other problem is that I can't join you. I'm using my I'm using my phone. Let me use a different email for the laptop.
Hey, Chris. How are you? I'll let him join with a different account, and I'll add him as a host. I think that's the audio was perfect while he was speaking. Yeah. And I also want to appreciate you guys for joining. Yeah. Okay. As Brian fixes his audio, I can share with you the Flutter page. And yeah, if you can see this is the Flutter page, flutter.dev. You can check it out, and it gives you some information about Flutter. You can see different information. If you want to get started with Flutter, you just come and click the get started, and you can read the documentation on how to install on the different platforms. Yeah, let me add Brian as a host, as he's going to be presenting. Yeah, as for me, because my platform, I'm using Linux Ubuntu, can come and click on the Linux installation, and there are some system requirements which you need to check them out and ensure that you have, so that you are able to install it. Yeah, but I'm going to leave much more of this to Brian, as he is well informed of Flutter. Awesome. Let me. Yeah.
Mic check.
Yeah, your audio is perfect now.
Okay. Having issues with Bevi and everything. So before as I was going through the Flutter installation.
I just checked out the flutter.dev website, and just yeah. Are you able to present?
Let me try that. I'm sure screen is visible now.
Yeah, the screen is visible.
All right. For the installation and everything, I think you, the initial the Flutter Friday event had that information. I guess if anybody is in this meeting and you want to go through the initial setup for Flutter and everything that Flutter is all about, you can check out those videos. I believe they are available on YouTube.
Yes, the videos are available on YouTube. So guys, if you wanna check out the initial setup or how to install and set up Flutter, the videos are available at gdsc-chuka. I'm gonna be sharing the link at the end of the session for you guys to check them out.
So I was talking about Firebase and the products they do offer. It actually integrates very seamlessly with Flutter. They have this is for the database. If you need to store your anything, for the authentication also is authentication provided, and you can select the signing methods that you want. You have email, password. That is, if your app uses email and a password. If you uses a Google, Facebook, all this kind of, or even a phone number, you can enable that, and you don't have to write much code for it to work. And then there's the Firestore. This is NoSQL Firebase, not database. I mean, so you can check the difference between MySQL and the SQL Firebase and the NoSQL Firebase. It's just that the difference is this one uses columns and just scales vertically. So, and then there's a real time. This is for when you have data that needs, like location data, data that needs to be updated frequently. By frequently means like in seconds time. If you have files you want to store in your app, you'll also be provided with like a space for that. If you need hosting, if it's for example a website that needs to get online, you can use that there. Then there's functions. These are basically where you don't have to build a whole app for you to do something specific, maybe for the authentication or to send messages. You can use these functions there. Then there is machine learning, and there is a release and monitor. This is when now your app is live and it's people are actually using it. You can use this crash analytics, performance, test lab, and app distribution to see everything about your app. This is then there's the analytics. This will give you the dashboard, the real-time events. This is basically you come here when your app is up and running. Most of these things that's when you start using them. We have cloud messaging and in-app messaging. Cloud messaging is basically where you see you might install an app, then you receive a message from a certain app. This is what you'd use for sending messages to your users. We have in-app messages. These are now come right inside the app itself. So it's like a banner or something, or like a dialogue if you're using for a website to be a dialogue now, something like that. So today was to go through integrating or how to use Firebase and Flutter together for and use Firebase for your backend, because this will give you a full let's say a full managed backend where you just create functions that do certain things and create data. For example, here, if you're used to SQL databases, this could be a collection is what you'd use for tables. A document is what you'd use for the columns and rows. And then for a document can also have a collection inside it, or it can just be a field. So for example, I'm starting with the backend first, so that before I go, so that you understand what is inside the code itself. So for example, for an order, I didn't even talk about the app itself. Okay, so let me open the app. So this is the app I'll use for demo. I'll provide you with the links for the code if you want to go through it. And I'll put that in the chat. So this app here uses this backend here, Firebase as its backend. It's a delivery app where a user can select the. It has 3 users: a normal user, a store, and now the admin. For for a store, they can add their products, and then they will appear on the user side of like a catalog or something. And then the users can select or make an order, and then select the location, like delivery address, and all that kind of stuff. And then there's the carrier. So for if you want to register, there's this. This one is for if you want to register as a normal user. This is for if you want to register as a vendor, like a store. Then you store your store name. That's where you'll find for users. Have these. Let me look for a store user. Yeah, for this example user here is a store. So you'll put your store name there, store address, and the role. This will be set from the depending on what page you're using to register. Is a for production you put this as different apps, but for demo you can just use this. And then is the carrier. Now the delivery guys will have the role for a carrier. For example, this guy here. So let me first of all log in. The authentication is also being is using Firebase authentication actually. So I didn't have to create any kind of authentication. All I need to do from my side is just call these functions for authentication from Firebase. Let me log in as a test user. Actually sure if I can remember the password for this guy. Okay. So I've forgotten the password. Yeah, let me register a new user. Call this guy survey, and then you can use a random email. So I've just registered that guy. This test at CB, and the authentication will just add that guy. Just start today. So let me now log in. This for the authentication part, but if you come to the database itself, you'll find that user. If I go to the users, find the user I've just created. I'll have to go through. Kamzi was not registered as a user. Anyway, I mean, could be the reason why it's failing to log in. Weird. But let me go through the code itself for the registration and the authentication. Tell me if the code is visible, if I need to adjust the font.
I think you can maybe adjust the font so that it's much more visible for guys to view.
Okay. Good now?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's much more visible.
No idea why this thing is not logging. But so for this particular app, I had created I separated it's usually good to separate your functionalities into like folders that actually do what they. For the UI, for example, you have all the UIs, everything that involves the UI, the screens, it's here. It's inside a folder called UI. This is the authentication. This is the for this screen, the views, the out page, the code registration, the login screen. These are basically just just a way to organize the code anyway. So for this cover image, this is what you're saying here. For the login form, this is the login form here. And the form, this is this part here. So it actually helps so that you can be able to move parts of your app from one place to the other without having to really write a lot of code. And also we have widgets. These are like small parts of a screen. For example, this cover image is a widget. Not a widget in the sense of Flutter widgets, but just a part. You can think of it like part. So you have this is a part. This login form is also part of the screen, and this is also another different part. And both of them, for example, if I open the login form, this is where the actual form is at, the email, the password, and now the submit button. So it was supposed to call this function. I have no idea why it's not logging in right now, but I'm using provider. These are the last event we did on Flutter. On the link that will be shared, it talks about provider. You can go check it out, then you'll be able to understand what's going on here. So provider is just a state management package for Flutter. This is light. You can use it for small apps. You can use it for big apps. It can scale to whatever you want. It depends with the architecture, also with the one that you're using. There are different architectures you can adapt for your Flutter apps. But for this particular app, I was using provider. So for this provider thing to work, the authentication login user account, this is actually a function defined inside services. Now, this is the part that interacts with the backend. And I'm using provider now to be able to listen to changes that happen to the authentication and react to them. So this is a function for registering an account. This is for a user account. This is for a store, and this is for a carrier. And then we have for the login. Let me look for that. Yeah, it's right here. Login user account. This one just requires an email and a password. These are you're just passing in the parameters for that, which is just the email and the password, which is what you're getting from here. is what you're getting from when you click this button. You're passing in the email and the password. I think putting them side by side will just reduce the screen size for you guys to see. Let me just put it here. So now this is where I start interacting with Firebase. I use the Firebase out instance, which will now interact with the authentication part of it, and then I'm signing with email and a password. There are methods available for your signing. As you had seen previously, I only enabled email and password signing, so this is what I'll be using. If you're using Google, you'd also find methods for that. You just plug in what is required for you to sign in with your emails and the password. I'm using these notify listeners. It's just to notify every other place that the user is now logged in. That's why that notify listener is only available through the change notifier. Again, I will say, if you want to find more information about these functions used here, you can always check the last video we did. So now it talks about provider. So and also when you're creating a user, you'd have to, if you're creating a user using your email and a password, this is what you have here. These are functions not defined inside my code, but these are available through Firebase out. As you can see here, it's what I've imported here. This is a Firebase package. It's not part of my code. And then this is for handling the database itself now, because this is where you'll be storing the actual your actual models. And for example, here we have the products, the stores, such things. You'll be interacting with the Firebase store now. I'm using, you'll notice that some of these functions are async because you're making a network call, and network calls are usually just async. So you don't get the response right away. So you have to wait for the response and act when the response is back. This is for the sign out. Firebase will also have that. You can sign out. For this, I'm just calling directly. I'm calling Firebase out sign out. But for production level kind of app, you'd need to actually sign the user out of your app before you send them out of Firebase. But either way, if you send them out of Firebase, they will still be signed out of your app, because you need call this. And this will, there's something initially when you open the app, inside here main is where everything starts in Flutter, the main. Let me show you that. The change notifier provider here. So I'm passing in the authentication. This is just the class I was going through. So when you log out, it will be notified, and the screen that will be shown will depend on your logged in state. If you are logged in, it will show you. If you're logged in, it will show you the dashboards, and depending on who you are, whether you are store or career. If you are not logged in, you'd see the login screen. So that's how using the provider and the change notifier will help you to change state between your app. Let me talk about the models also. Models. This is how you would put the data into your Fire store now. For an order, you would expect it to have a customer name, a customer ID, a customer phone, delivery address, and these are the details there. So, and then there's the to JSON. This one just helps you, because the data that will be sending out, and the data that will coming back will always be in JSON form. So you have to have some methods to interact with the data to change the format, so that you can change if you want to interact with it inside your Dart, because that will not understand JSON. You change it to the class, that class, which will have this. The constructor here will have the customer name and everything. This will also be coming from the network call you make. So let me show you how that looks from the database itself. So for an order, so you have that. There's the carrier. Let me show you something that has not yet been ordered. This one will work. So this one is awaiting the order status is awaiting delivery. That's why there is no carrier in it. So for NoSQL, you can always add more fields into your representation of data. For example, here the documents, you can always add more fields to it, and it's not like the SQL one where if you have the 15 defined rows and columns, that's all you can use. For these, you can always add more fields where necessary. So for example, here we have this, and the order actually gets somebody who's gonna deliver it, and that's why you'll have some of these orders have a carrier. This is an ID. This ID refers to the user here. One of these, can't really tell which one, but I think it was time in 2015. Yeah. This is the guy who will be delivering that. I wish I was able to log in, but can't really. Debugging that might take more time, but anyway. So for a product, the product has the basics: the product name, the price, the category, the description, the product image, and the store ID. Store ID, this is where it's like pointing to the store the product actually belongs to. You also have that store name there. For SQL database, I would not have to store this store here. I'll just use store ID. I'll be referring to I'll get everything about the store. But for an SQL database, you can always add more fields if you want. So I think, yeah, let me show you using the screenshots. Might get a feel of what I'm talking about. This is the loading page, the first page that you see when the app is opening. This is the logins. Yeah, already seen this. So yeah, when you log in, this is what you'd find. You have categories and the products and the stores if you want to browse using store. This is a wish list. Yeah, this is a cart. This is a profile. Yeah, the profile part of your image of the user who is logged in. This is the product details. For example, if you're logged in as a user you want to buy, you would see the delivery fee for that, the name of the product, the price, and if you want to add it to cart, there's that button there for that. If you want to add it to the wish list, there's that button there. Also, you can click. This is like a drop. You click on this, it will drop down the description, and you see more about the product. Yeah, so this will show you. This is now when you're logged in as a store and you have these products as your. I was just using this for test products. You'll be able to add, edit, and delete. This will be able to see your orders for the products and the address where the particular product will be delivered to. You can see more details when you open the quantity, the pieces. I'll share the code. You will be able to actually launch it on your own machines and try it out. Yeah, this is when you are as a product, as a store, you'll be able to manage the edit, the delete. Yeah, and you'll also be able to upload an image for a product, set the name, the price, the description, and the category. All that maps to what you saw here in the products: the name, the price, the category, the description, the product image, and now the store, that whoever now is creating that particular product. How many chairs can we go through this app? Let me show you. Now the services is, as I was saying, is where it's like the middleware between the backend and the front end. Now the front end is the UI of the app, the backend is Firebase. So for cart, let me start with product. This is the function that will be called whenever you are adding a product, and you can see it's adding the products. Let me show you where the Firebase interaction with Firebase starts. So this is a collection. A collection is like a table. So I'm referring, whenever I'm using products collection reference, I'm referring to the collection with the name products. So you come to Firebase, there's these products here. This is what I'm interacting with when I'm calling this add. Add product here is just this is my own defined function, but what collection reference will give you, it will expose these functions. Doc, this means you're creating a new product, a new document. Document in this case, I'm referring to this part here. You can always pass parameters inside the doc if you don't want Firebase to handle creating new the document as random strings, as you can see here. There's a way you can just pass in whatever you want to be created as the product name or something that you can remember easily. So after I'm creating the product, I'm turning into JSON, because anything that you're passing over the net from the other side of Firebase, it will be expecting it to be in JSON. So you have to turn this dat class into a JSON file, not JSON file, but a JSON format. I hope the JSON format you guys are able to understand. If that's new, you can ask on the chat. So these are functions that will do the query. Now this is the create part, creating a product. This is the querying part, where you are querying certain products by store. This is just a name for use. So I'll be passing in the store ID, and then I'll check products. Remember, I had already created a collection reference up here, which references this collection called products. So that's what I'm calling here. So check where store ID. By this is checking the field now. It's checking the fields, these fields inside that collection, where the field store ID equals to whatever you had passed in as the store ID, and then using is equal to Firebase will expose different methods for doing your query for where. Let me see what we have. So what we have in the documentation. The documentation for that is specific to Flutter, it's at Flutterfire. It's still Firestore, but more specific to Flutter now. Like Firestore. So if you come here, you'll be able to see all the functions that you can call, the collections in the documents, the difference in them. You'll see how you can interact with them. If there is something you want to check, maybe for writing data. Right now I was checking for querying data. Yeah, reading that. So there's that. The difference between a document snapshot and a query snapshot is that this one will return it will return the more of, not just one but more. It's like a list, and this one will just give you one thing, the document itself. Not when you're this one, I would use this to query to get everything in a collection. I would use this to get everything inside a document. The document now, it's now like a row in the table now. So you can go through this. You'll find a lot of it's quite straightforward. You find a lot of things you can tweak with. For example, if you are doing the filtering, the where method, it will expose things like this greater than. Array contains only the limit, and also if you want to order by, you can always click this. It will give you more details. See, like for example, here you see which what things you can put there. For example, what I was using used is equal to. There's also is not equal to, is less than, is that. There's just a lot you can always try these out. I was building this project for fun, and it's not really. I was just trying out Firebase with it. Yeah. So let me go back to this. So yeah, for this one, will give you back the store in an array. I think for this, I was querying the document. I was checking where document ID here. I'm referring to this part. This here. This is a document ID. This is what Firebase will understand as a document. So if you try to create a new document from here, there's this part that will be an auto ID. You can leave this as auto ID, or you provide it yourself from the code. As I was saying, you can always pass parameters or arguments to the doc function. It will give you it will allow you to self-define whatever the document ID will be. I just leave that to Firebase to handle, because I don't want to have document IDs that are the same. By that, it's like a primary key. It will guarantee your uniqueness. This is another function for querying depending on a category, using the where category is equal to that, and this one just fetches the product using the product ID now. This will give you back and that's why the class I'm referring to here. If you notice, there's this query snapshot and then there's document snapshot. For this one, I'm expecting a document just one. That's why I'm using one. But for these, I would expect list back. That's why there's that. So basically, if you go through the code, you'll find this, and this is for most of those. It's a fetch, it's a read. This one is an update. It's more of so when you're updating, I would pass in the product ID, the document ID that I want to update, and what do I want to update? The product name, the price, the category, and the description. And those are the things that will be updated. This update is not defined inside my code. This is coming from Cloud Firestore. It's the package I used for that. And also for the delete is just as simple as referring to the document ID you want to delete, and they're calling the delete function from the Cloud Firestore. That's basically the CRUD for that. You'll find the same things inside here. If you want to go through most of that, you can have a look at the code. I will be sending the link to it. It's on GitHub. You can search for design delivery inside my GitHub. I wish I was able to log in. I have no idea what's happening to the login. Sorry for that, guys. But for now, I think I can take any questions for anybody you might have. For the initial setup, let me go through the initial setup. I didn't even go through that. So when you're starting out, you would I want to create a new project. So you come here. Project name can be anything, but I would prefer test project. If you wish to use analytics and everything in your project, you can always turn these on, or if you don't need to use them, you can turn these off for now. You'll be able to add them later anyway. So this is creating the project. This project is actually, this is the resources it's using is from Google Cloud, my Google Cloud account. So you need first to set up your Google Cloud account, and then so what you are doing is creating an app. It's we have iOS, Android, and web. For our instance, it's an Android app. So there's this Android package name. This is available here. You open your Android, then app, supposed to be in main, the manifest. This is a long way there, but I'm sure there's a simple way to go. So this is what you'd copy. The com.example design delivery, that's what it's expecting here. So let me actually put that. This is optional. You can always just design. Call it 2. And then we register the app. When you register the app, you'll be able to see this Google services.json. This is just it's like it's what tells the app and Firebase between the connection between them. It's like the config file for Firebase inside your app. So that's when they'll tell you to put it here. There's that folder called Android. Then there's app. Inside the app, that's where you put Google services JSON, that file. That's where you put that. Then, assuming you have done that already, there's adding the Firebase SDK. Take note of project level build, and then there's the app level build. So this is what they are referring to. There's the app. This is the app level build, and then there's the project level build. Gradle, this one. So this is inside Android, and this is another build inside app. So take note of that, so that you don't put the wrong config in the wrong place, then it ends up not working. So for this part here, this will put inside the project build.gradle. What you need to add is just Maven, Google if you don't have it, and then this Google services if you don't already have it, and then inside the repositories you would add that, and that would this is what we're referring to. This is already set up, so I don't need to add anything to it. Build grade is one here. Dependencies, Google services, and then Google, and then our repositories, there's Google. Basically what they want you to do. And then inside the app level build, you'll add the dependencies, Firebase, and then the Google services. So you go back to the app, this app level right here. Scroll, find where there is what they're referring to, dependencies implementation platform, and then apply plugin. So plugin have these, and the dependencies right here. Yeah, for that there was, I think for now it requires you to add that, but the time I was implementing this, it did not require me to add this Firebase BOM. I'm sure I had it somewhere, but anyway. Okay. So after you've already done that in the IDE, it will prompt you to sync. If you see something like that, then you'll have to sync so that Gradle pulls these dependencies that you have added, and then that is it. You can just go to your console and then start interacting with the app. This is Cloud Firestore. You can always create a collection so that you have a reference to the collection you are creating, or you just actually the reason why that thing could not be working is because of security rules. I might not be able to have access rights. Yeah, this could be the reason why. Yeah, but I'll change that. But you can always put in your own JSON Google dot. When you get a project, the only thing you might need to change is just this. If it's there, you just change this and put your own Google services. Then you'll be able to access your own Firebase instance. For the Flutter packages that you might need, it's just the Firebase core auth, the auth if you'll be using Firebase authentication, and Cloud Firestore for using the database itself. You can add more. For example, the cloud messaging will require a different package, so you just add it here using this is the pub spec. Yeah. For setup, initial setup, lib main, you have to initialize it. Firebase, you have to initialize the app. So this is basically all you need to do. Just initialize it, but here when your app, before your app starts, because if you don't initialize it before your app starts, then you won't have access to Firebase. And then you'll have issues. You have to also, because it's more of an synchronous task. So I bet if you start a new Flutter app, this won't be here, and it will just be run up. So make sure it's a sync so that the Firebase starts before you can actually start your app. You need it. It's like your database. Yeah. So I think that's all you need to do for that, and then from there, all these other things, models, services, depends on how you have structured your app to be like. If there's any questions, I can take them now.
Yeah, for that, what was it called? The Google main. Was it the Google? It was the JSON file, the Google JSON file, I think.
Yeah.
So, because I've seen it has your own credentials. So when I set up my own, let's say my own Firebase Android app on the Firebase platform, so do I get my own like the Google JSON file and just change up the different credentials on maybe let's say when I clone the application and change up the different credentials and it's gonna work?
Yes. Yeah. The only thing you need to give you, I didn't download it, but you don't forget to download that because you need it. If you don't download it, then I'm not sure if it's accessible from any other place, but I'm sure it's accessible after. You'll be able to access it after. I have no idea where I can find that inside the Firestore, but I'm sure you can always be able to download it. So let me show you what, for example, inside my GitHub, because it's more of a so you download the one that you will be given by first. Maybe I restart the whole process again. You download the one that you'll be given, then you use that inside the app so that you don't interact with this Firebase, the one that I have on my side.
Oh,
It
okay.
is,
So,
yeah.
because I've seen you also have some collections on your end of on your Firebase database, right? Some
Yeah.
different collections. So
Uh-huh.
when I maybe and I've already changed maybe the different credentials and try running the application, does it like automatically create the collections on the
Yes.
cloud on the Firebase database?
Yes. For a collection, if the collection does not exist, Firebase will create it automatically. If like it's the first time you're accessing it, if it does exist, it will just use that collection.
Also, it's just based on the models that you have already created on your Flutter application. So Firebase will just automatically create the collection. So do you specify like it's a NoSQL or SQL type?
Firebase only works with no SQL. You don't
Oh
have
yeah,
an option there. Yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
you don't have an option there to specify which one you are working with.
Uh,
So
so
if
if
any
any
other
other
person
person
has
has a question, you can just pose it on the question on the chat, or maybe just ask me to add you as a host and ask your question directly. You can just tell me on the chat section, and I'll add you as a host. Yeah, there's a question from DTech Creative. He's asking, he was working on a certain app, and after the implementation of an image, the app crashed, and ever since could not reopen. What could be the cause of the crash? I'm not sure if I understand the question, but I think Brian is capable of maybe answering that. Is it like part of for DTech, is it like an Android app that you're working on? Yeah, DTech, if you could clarify if it was a Android application on what type of application that you're working on, so that a social application. Oh, okay. Yeah, Brian, yeah, I think DTech has provided some more clarification of the application that he was working on, and says that uh, the app was the app crashed after implementation of an image and will not reopen again. So were you using Firebase or DTech? Check here. There is the question from DTech. You can provide some more an answer to that and some more clarification to maybe what he's asking. And if anyone else has any question or some much more clarification, you can just put it on the chat section. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Detect. Chege is unable to unmute his mic, but he has sent. If you are able to see, he has sent the YouTube playlist for the Flutter Fridays on the chat section. Yeah, if you want to check out the Flutter Fridays study jam, yeah, it's available over there on the chat section. Just click on the link and it will redirect you to the Flutter Fridays playlist on YouTube, and you can check it out and see what we talked about on the different sessions or the Flutter Fridays study jam. Yeah. Uh, Other guest, Hilda Fish wasn't able to join us. I'm not sure, but she sent the presentation that she was going to present today. I'm gonna be sharing it on the different WhatsApp groups and the Slack channel, on the GDSC Slack channel. You're gonna be able to check it out and see what she had installed for us today. And I'm really sorry she wasn't able to join us. It's quite unfortunate, but we're gonna. I've said I'm gonna be sharing with you the different slides that she sent over. Yeah, awesome. I think he's back.
Mic check.
Yeah. I'm able to hear you.
For a moment there, I was thrown out.
Oh, sorry.
So I've shared with you the playlist and the app itself. You can use that to kind of like a guide or something if you want to use it as a guide. And yeah, the Flutterfire is where you'll find the one I had opened. Flutterfire is where you'll find the documentation that is for Firebase that is based on Flutter. It's the code there is that, and it's in that form, so it will be much more helpful than checking from the other Firestore documentation itself. So you can go through that and go through the app, and if you that is it from my side. Apologies for this thing not logging. I really wish we could see what I actually meant, but you can always get the code and try to debug and see what the issue could be. Otherwise, if there's any other question.
I had a final question. For the authentication part, you said the authentication is being handled by Firebase itself. So for the different types of authentication, whether it be Google authentication, Microsoft authentication, so there are already predefined functions on the Firebase cloud platform.
Yes.
Are there any charges associated to that, if I may ask?
No. For Firebase, the pricing, if you check, there's okay. Let me share this. If you check here, there's this Spark. Spark is $0 per month. What would happen is for the indication you don't pay anything. Google handles that. See, like for these usage quotas for database, Firebase, storage, functions, phone out, hosting, test lab, free. And if you want to use to pay, if you have like you have more users, want support, you want a better DB and things like that. That's when you now start your billing, but authentication is free.
So it's also inclusive of email verification.
Yes, it's email, another new provider, Google, can enable this. Project start, support email, we use that. This is optional. This was optional because I don't have, it's not working on web. It's just a mobile app. And save that. And now when I come to the authentication, yeah, you'll see the usages for that. It's Google, it's social. So yeah, you'll have to add this dependency, Google sign in. Then this is how you'd authenticate using Google. Google sign in, and that code is there, the access token, the ID token. Then to return the user that was signed in. If it's Facebook, the same. You add the Facebook dependency. If you're using Apple, you add the signing with Apple and crypto, and then you're using Twitter, you have that, and if you're using GitHub, this depends on what you have enabled. So for example here, I love to download this configuration file. I already have it, so I'm already done with that. So I want to all these anonymous phone. The documentation is here. The GitHub for phone, that is a phone number. You have to enable things like text messaging, which can only be done using the cloud messaging. That now you have to enable this service here, cloud messaging. You have to add cloud messaging to your app for that to work. Yeah, it's just, you go through the docs, you'll be able to maneuver everything. Everything is quite straightforward.
Yeah, thank you very much for the clarification. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, you can continue.
For testing, this pack will be, say, it's enough. It's enough for using for testing out. I don't think you can run out of the quota. Quotas provided are enough for you to play around with.
Awesome. If anyone else has any question, I don't know if there are any questions. If there aren't, I think we're gonna be winding up the session. If there are no more questions, so if you have, as Brian has said, the playlist for the different Flutter Friday sessions on the chat section. You can check out the YouTube channel, which is gdsc-chuka. If you want to check out our YouTube channel and see the different sessions that we have had. And yeah, the flutter-base.flutter.dev is the documentation for understanding more about Flutter and Firebase. So I guess that's where we're gonna be winding up at, since Hilafish wasn't able to join us. But I wanna thank you guys for joining and for being active on the GDSC platform. Very much appreciated. Yeah, we are gonna be dispersing some credit for you guys tomorrow for you who were able to join the session today, as an incentive to continue joining the different sessions that we have. And yeah, so those are my final remarks. I think we can end the session there. And thank you guys for joining.
Thank you, Ian, for having me here, and thank you guys for joining. Keep learning.
Yeah, very much appreciated, Brian.
All right.
Welcome, guys. You're welcome to the different sessions that you're gonna be having next time. We'll also have a Rust session, which is gonna be coming up in a few. maybe next week we're going to be having a Rust session. You can always RSVP for the different events that we have. We also have a newsletter on Mondays that you can check out on your email. We write it and we send it to your email, and check out for the different notifications on your email for the different events. And thank you guys for attending, and have a nice weekend. Awesome. We stop recording.